Hi there, welcome to this video on systems of equations. In this topic, which is a common one on the CST exam, we're going to deal with scenarios where you're given two cases and you're asked about a third case. It's usually question 11 or 12 on the CST exam, and what it is presented as a table or is it presented as a series of cases in a word problem. These questions are worth 10 marks, so it's really worth getting a method down that's going to help you solve it every time, completely and cleanly. In this example, the Funtime Daycare brings students to the movies once per month. Some kids just see the movies and others buy popcorn too. The costs of 3 field trips are shown below. Determine the number of bags of popcorn purchased when the kids went to see Star Wars. So as you can see, and this is a fairly typical case, we have the questions where 2 of the cases are already fully explicated. 23 movie tickets plus 15 bags of popcorn cost $266.50. 41 movie tickets for Toy Story plus 28 bags of popcorn cost $482. But we don't know how many bags of popcorn were bought when the kids went to see Star Wars. We use a method called the elimination method to solve these kinds of questions so that you don't have to rearrange the equation in y equals ax plus b form. We can just write them out in general form, and that begins by assigning one of the variables, in this case movie tickets, the variable x, and the second variable, bags of popcorn, y. I'm going to now write these out as equations. I've got 23x plus 15y equals $266.50. Similarly, I have 41x plus 28y is $482. I'm going to put a line here. Now, this is called the elimination method, and it's going to soon become clear as to why that's the case. The first step to the elimination method is to put a number, the opposite coefficient, in front of opposing equations. So for example, I'm going to take the 41 here up, and I'm going to take the 23 down. And I'm going to write it out in front and add brackets to each equation. What this implies is that I'm going to multiply that new coefficient onto each value in the equation. So for the top equation, it means multiplying 41 through each number, onto each number. My new equation, my new top equation, is 943x, 41 times 23, plus 615y, when I multiply 41 times 15, equals 10,926 and 50 cents. Don't worry that they're large numbers. That happens in a lot of cases. For the bottom one, I'm going to multiply 23 onto each of the values. So I've got 943 again. 23 times 28 is 644. And 23 times 482 is 11,086. Now I'm going to draw a line again, because I have 2 new equations. For the elimination method, I prefer that my students always multiply, always use this method to subtract. There are some teachers who prefer to use multiplying by an opposite sign, but I've found over the years that students often get confused by this method. So in this method, we're always going to line them up and we're always going to subtract. When we do that, 943x minus 943x cancels the x's out. 615 minus 644 gives us negative 29y. And don't worry that it's negative. Similarly, 10,926.50 minus 11,086 gives us negative 159.50. Now, a lot of students aren't sure what to do here, but as you can see, negative 29 is kind of hugged up against this y, and that always implies multiplication. A number stuck to a letter is always multiplication. And the opposite of multiplication is division. So in order to isolate y, we have to divide off the number in front of it. When we do that, it removes that coefficient from y, and I find out that negative 159.50 divided by negative 29 gives me a value of 5.5. I'm going to write 550 because we're talking about which variable? Up there, y represents popcorn, so that must mean this is the cost of a bag of popcorn. That's great, but we don't know the cost of a movie ticket. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to choose one of my two original equations. I'm going to choose the top one, 23x plus 15y equals 266.50. And what I do know is that popcorn, which is y, is $5.50 a bag. So I'm going to substitute that in. And all I did with the 15 times 550 was multiply them out. Now I notice that when I do this, I have numbers on the left side of the equal sign and numbers on the right side. Here it's being added, the 82.50 is being added, so I'm going to subtract it off. Remember, you're always doing its opposite. So I'm going to do that. And it's because I want all the numbers on the right and all the things to do with x on the left. When I do that, and I take 266.50 and I subtract off 82.50, I end up with 184 as my new number. All right, and that's a 4 here. It's just the pen. Again, I'm going to divide out the 23 from both sides. And what I notice is that 184 divided by 23 equals 8. And again, I'm going to write 8.00 because we're talking about $8 for a movie ticket. Now, why does it matter that we have these two costs? Well, it matters because in our third case, when we go and see Star Wars, we know that it costs us $344.50 to do the whole field trip. And we know that some of that cost is the movie tickets and that there's 30 of them, but we don't know how many bags of popcorn were purchased. So I'm going to set up my equation, 30x plus, I don't know how many y's, equals 344.50. The good thing is we do have a value for x and y, and I'm going to put those in right now. So I know that I got 30 movie tickets and they cost $8 each. I don't know how many bags of popcorn, but I definitely know they cost $5.50 each. And I know that all that put together is $344.50. The movie ticket cost is quite easy to calculate by multiplying these, and I get $240. And if I were to think about that, and I mean, think about these cases as real life cases. You know, there you are at the movies. We spent $344.50. 240 of it was tickets alone. So I'm going to minus that off and see how much money we have left for popcorn. So when I subtract that 240, gives me 104.50. 344.50 minus 240. 104.50. And as always, when we have two things stuck together, a letter and a number, in this case a symbol and a number, we just divide it off to find out. Because I want to know, like, how many bags of popcorn does 104.50 get you? When I divide that out, I find out that my question mark equals 19. So that means the kids bought 19 bags of popcorn. And that's how you solve a system of equations question. using the elimination method. It's the most reliable method for that question on the exam, and this type of question always shows up on the final exam in Mathematics CST. So I hope this video really helped.